I thought I'd pass along a little information about a couple things. One, it's about, it's kind of like a little quick, not a quick, it'll be like an inserted follow up on removing mods, or at least the mod that I removed, which was Zayton, or Zaytons. And more importantly, on a loose file stream. So, to start off with, if you take a look here, you can see where the only crashes I've had is where you can see, like, you got a virtual machine crash here, and then there's a kernel base, which I think these two are related. So let's go in and take a look at the overlays real quick, and you can see where what I did in between the time of the very first game session until the time of the first crash. And you can see there were a lot of things that were changed, some things that were added. So I could write this off, potentially write this off as being the fact that I modified scripts, potentially modified scripts, or modified my load order during a gaming session, or during the game. We'll just call it like the game being like the game. Okay, so you can see where I did even more, and then I got a kernel-based error. Okay, so this is where I removed Zayton. I removed Zayton.esp here, played it, and I actually tried to load the game and then got a crash, and then this is where the crash was because I removed it. And then this is me trying to get back into the game. If you remember, the virtual machine desynced, and then I repaired my game save. And you can see I'm cruising along until this point here. Now, what's interesting about this particular point is, this particular crash, is if you look at the game save, there was actually two of them. I tried to load this one right here. I tried to load this one. I actually got, this is actually the same thing. This is a quick save. This right here is a just a regular save. So this one wouldn't load, this one would. So if we take a look at it with Resaver, you can actually see where I've got two unattached threads. I had these once before. These were the BLD system, the better locational damage. Now, what's interesting is if I try to terminate or remove these, when I go to load that game save back up, it will actually crash. It will give me an invalid reference. Terminate would not work, and just flat out, like, the terminate wouldn't work, and then just flat out deleting it didn't work. And I've done this once before. I think it was a follow-up video on removing it. That may have been a mistake, because I'll tell you why in a second. If I find the owner, it looks like there is an active script running. So I don't know if I should have terminated this and terminated this. I would assume so. But I'm not sure with this one if there's multiple BLD systems running or if that's a main script. That's the problem I'm not sure about. So if I actually scrap if I terminate or delete the main script from the game save, it may cause even more havoc. So that being said, I believe this is because BLD attached itself to certain objects in the Zayton plugin. So I was able to remove Zayton fine. However, because I have better locational damage, I believe this is residual based on the fact that it attached itself to Zayton weapons, Zayton armor, or something. Okay, so now that being said, trying to load this game back up. Now, if you notice, I did install some stuff, but they're not necessarily activated. These are updates, so some things, some plugins and some Xedit scripting was updated. Other things are in the load order but have not been activated yet. I can't activate them because it'll be too big of a change. But if you notice, everything's going cool, and then all of a sudden, I get a crash. And if you look at this crash here, you'll actually see that we are, let me see, we are back to a virtual machine crash. Okay, so I believe this was the last thing on the stack. Yeah. Now this, I think this is probably just a cell load thing. So this is back to a virtual machine. So I do know that I did get the first time I got a virtual machine was up here. The first time I got one was up here. See, up in this one when I started adding some stuff. So changing scripts dynamically, and I don't think I removed anything at that point. I believe I just updated stuff. Well, actually, I think I did remove some stuff, so I can locate this. Well, that's Caritas framework, so that doesn't matter. Let's see. Yeah, that's just where we generated the patch. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, so that should be fine. I believe that'll be fine. Let's go back to the end of this. Okay. And so, it's hard to tell whether the virtual machine is continuing to desync because of adding and removing mods. Now, I'm going to assume yes at this point. So, because it's very hard for me to actually make it through an entire 100 character level playthrough without adding and removing stuff or even updating things as they change. Now, I could be selective about that update and only update, let's say, Xedit scripts or DLLs. But not any plugins or, definitely not any master or just regular plugins or even ESL plugins. Well, that's plugins, but lights. So, yeah, so that's what I noticed there. At least that's how I'm looking at it. So once this occurs, whatever caused this to occur, even though the game save might be clean, it occurs again. And if you notice, the first virtual desync occurred before I actually had installed better locational damage or reactivated in my load order. And I did reactivate it mid-game. So everything was fine until I went to remove something that BLD is attached to. Now what I might do is go back in and I might try removing, let me see here. I might try removing, all right, let's bring this back up. I might try removing these 3 items. I really hate to, but you know what? You don't really know until you try it. So it's kind of one of those things where you don't really know what's going to happen until you actually do it. And just zap all 3 of these things and then save my game save and see if it comes back clean or if it even, vomits even more. All right, so that's kind of like the background of that. But what I wanted you to see moving into the second part of the video is there was absolutely no loose file streams or any kind of crash like that. There was nothing like that. If I go back into the game, let's see if we can get to Sanctuary here. We're gonna take or let's go to Concord. Let's get into Concord here. Now, let's see. I've never fast traveled directly to Concord, so let's see what we get. Hopefully, this won't crash with a virtual machine. So, which will kind of ruin what I'm trying to show you here. There's a couple things I did, or there's some things I did based on a theory I had as to why I was getting crashes with Sim Settlements 2, why I was getting crashes in a settlement that I built myself, and Sim Settlements 2 was not in the load order. And in both instances, I got what was like a loose file stream. That was the crash I had. That's what buff out labeled like a loose file stream. So what I was trying to figure out is how can I get the same crash with a mod and without a mod? What are the commonalities between the two? And one of the things that I thought of is through Script Extender, there's a lot of lists being updated, like a lot. All right, so now we're in Concord. You got to excuse the fact I do have a concussion, so everything's going to fuzz out back and forth until it goes away. And sleeping with MAME, sleeping does not take it away. All right, so you can see here that I've got a mod, which I think is Concord Resurrected. And basically, it has put NPCs it has put objects. There's even NPCs will travel because there goes Brotherhood people. See, it has put objects in Concord. Concord is modified, so you can actually see there is, there is the subways of the Commonwealth, and then there is actually car varieties. So that's in there. Of course, you can see where he didn't actually delete the car varieties in the other one. But if you go up here, I don't think there's anything there I need. If you go up here and take a look, let's see if we can run here. Sprint up this way. If you take a look here, you can see that it has added over here objects. So not only do you have objects in buildings, but you've got light sources, you've got turrets. Okay, so objects were added to to Concord, and I have not had a crash yet, a virtual crash. Coming back to Concord, going to Abernathy Farm, I've not had, not a virtual, but a loose file stream. I've not had any of that. So what I think is, yeah, okay. So
give me a moment.
When SS2, when SS2 was installed, I would get loose file stream crashes in Concord, and I would get them in Abernathy Farm. In Concord, I would not get them until Concord's development was kind of nearing its final stage. And then I would get them quite often intermittently. Okay, so it's an intermittent problem. It's not anything that would happen consistently. Then when I took SS2 out, I started getting loose file streams in Sanctuary. So I'm like, okay, so if it's not an SS2 problem, what is it? Well, I figured it had to do with lists because it happened when the, not the tidy, was it? Not, it's the salvage bot. The salvage bot was actually going to salvage something that was in Sanctuary. And once I moved in the direction the salvage bot had gone, it instantly crashed with a loose file stream. So I'm thinking that somehow Script Extender or one of the DLL plugins is accessing, or something is accessing a list. It's a data list through Script Extender, but that object is either not, it's been released. Like you can get a reference in a list, but that reference has now been released. So, and that's not going to dynamically update your list because your list still has a value in it, which points to some type of data. Well, that actual data is gone, but it's still in your list, and you try to access it, and you're going to get a crash with an invalid reference. If you try to use that data, or if you pass that data onto a function, like let's say a game function or something. So let's hop back in here. So one thing I did is I took out automatically repairing the power grid. So anything that would dynamically scan a settlement, I took out, at least the best I could. There are some things I could not take out. Like if I'm not here, or if I'm not at the settlement, or I just enter the settlement. So the salvage bot is no longer in this load order. Well, it's no longer in this settlement. I have it, but I took it out. I completely took it out. These guys here, which are the repair bot and the tidy bot, if you notice on these actually have to be, you have to tell them, see, check for repairs. You have to literally say check, which means I have to be in here. They don't do it automatically, so they're not set to do it every so often. And I think what it's doing is it's probably catching something before it's fully loaded, or as the cell is being released. The data, some type of data is being released. So it's in a list. The data either isn't fully loaded or has been modified or changed, which means the references inside the data structure has changed, or it simply no longer exists. And because of that, once something gets to that particular reference and then tries to use it for something, you'll get a reference crash. Okay, so that's one thing I did to fix that. Another thing you see is, even though Concord was modified, I have not had a loose file stream crash yet. Now this is getting pretty full. You can see it's kind of a little bit on the slightly sluggish side. So it's getting kind of full here.
Man,
So I'm pretty sure that the loose file stream is coming from accessing a list, which, like, I'm assuming I'm gonna take a wild stab in the dark here that the scripting for matter of fact, let's go ahead and jump back to Concord here. We'll let this load and then see if this will crash. We'll just kind of keep doing this. So I'm pretty sure that the script extender basically allows accessing data structures data structures internal to the game outside of what Bethesda's normal scripting engine does, which means, in effect, you can literally say, give me all the NPC references or dead NPC references, however that might be, in a cell area, and it will give you a list. Now, if you process that list as though the references are good, then you're going to assume that everything in that list is good. But what if something removed it? So what if the TidyBot actually removed a log that was in the process of being, let's say maybe the LOD or even the previs was in the process of displaying or showing or rendering in the distance. So by removing it when something else is using it, it's going to cause a problem. So you would almost have to wait until a cell is entirely loaded, like nothing else is being loaded, before you even attempt to do that, like a safety load. Now, I don't know as far as speed sake goes how that's going to work, because usually that means you're going to put off loading something for a given amount of time, and that's going to give the illusion of script lag, which it is, but not in the sense that it is actually true lag. Here, let me drink some water here. Not in the sense that it's actually true lag. So that's where that's what I wanted to show you guys. So that's where I kind of stand at the moment. And then once I save, I'll be able to put a little comment below that to say it desynced, or it's a virtual machine desync. Let's see what we got here. And then I'm going to go in and I am going to try to, let's see, we're here. And then I'm going to try to use Resaver and remove this to see what's going to happen. Now, the reason I'm holding off on this is because, in this particular unattached instance here is almost always input enabled. I have no idea why this even shows up. But the reason I'm holding off on this is because I'm still kind of building my settlements. And I need to save whatever updates that I've made back using transfer settlements. So that way I can re-import them, in a current state. So I don't want to botch this too much. And there are there's about 6 or 7 mods over here that I want to add, and some mods I want to take out on the next playthrough to try to, just try to add a little bit more flavor to the game. But still keep the kind of the same game, but kind of keep refining it over time. But other than that, and you can see over here where I'll get consistent errors now, unless the time frame is really short. I'll get consistent errors because let's bring this up. Because that one must be pretty big. Oh wait, no, that one's not available anymore. Let's try this. There we go. So you can actually see that a lot of these are like this hardcore HC. I'm not sure what this is. So I can't really say this is because I removed something. It might be because something broke. I'll worry about all that stuff later. But yeah, that's what I wanted to kind of do a quick follow-up and let you see. So you can see that there are no loose file streams. Virtual machine crash, more than likely due to adding, removing, and dynamically changing mods mid-game. We're going to go with that assumption. But you can actually see where I got Zaytons out, and other than this virtual machine, which probably came from where I removed those better locational damage scripts, because it will crash with a reference error if I try to just remove those. I probably could have left those in. If I continue to get this error, once I save all my settlements back, I will go in and take those out and see if the thing will actually choke, to see if better locational damage even works anymore, and kind of just kind of take it from there. Just kind of play around and kind of experiment a little bit and have some fun. So I just want to let you guys know kind of the fact I really want to let you know that I have not seen a loose file stream. Given all of these changes, by limiting how many things can access particular reference list or retrieve a reference list from cells at a given time. Yeah, that's about it. So hope that helps track down problems or do any kind of debugging you might have. And good luck and just have fun.